Hi, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome back to the final episode of Series 10 of the Climate Pioneers Show. My name is Cherry, and I'm the founder of Above and Beyond Recruitment. We are a climate tech recruitment company working with startups and scale-ups to hire mission-driven talent and build their teams. And throughout the course of this series, we've been speaking with founders who are focusing on helping us adapt to climate change and make the world around us more resilient. They'll be sharing their journeys so far, the challenges that they've faced, and the lessons they've learnt along the way. So if you are a founder yourself listening to this, hopefully these stories will help to inspire you, inform you, and make you feel a little bit less alone on your founder journey. And today, seeing us out for Series 10, I am joined by Margaux Peltier, co-founder and CEO of Enerdrape, a Swiss startup turning underground infrastructure into renewable energy sources. From parking garages to metro tunnels, Enerdrape's modular geothermal panels harness untapped subterranean heat to provide sustainable heating and cooling for buildings without disruptive drilling or invasive construction. Margaux's background in HVAC design and engineering was followed by a master's in civil engineering in Lausanne, where her thesis formed the basis of Enerdrape's technology. And since then, she has led the business through award-winning pilot projects and ambitious expansions into the US. So, Margaux, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you, Cherry. Happy to be with you today.
Fantastic. So tell us more. Your journey with Enerdrape, I mentioned just then, began during your master's thesis. Can you walk us through the moment that you realized the potential of shallow geothermal energy as as something that could be potentially commercialized and game-changing?
Yeah, sure. So actually, I was not alone on that. I have two co-founders, and they were also part of the invention. But I think, I was doing my master thesis. I was doing a bit of a market research, and I realized the topic we were working on was only adapted for new construction. And actually, we had a lot of existing construction that was really untapped. So basically, I started to chat with who became my co-founders afterwards, and they were like, yeah, actually, this is something we are thinking of as well. And all of a sudden there was like this spark started like that, and we said, okay, maybe we can do something. So we started digging a little bit, and then we really had very good market feedback. We really see that there was a potential, and then we said, okay, now it's maybe the time to transfer this technology out of the lab and to make it something commercially, a product that can really help and have an impact today, and not like in 10 years when when someone else is gonna get this out of a drawer of the lab.
And tell us about the scale of the problem you're solving here, I suppose, just to contextualize the impact, because I think we all know that buildings and heating and cooling contribute greatly to carbon emissions, but give us the scale of the impact and the scale of this problem.
Yeah, sure. So actually we tend to forget that, but half of the energy demand everywhere on the planet is actually for heating and cooling. As of today, we talk a lot about transportation, we talk a lot about electricity needs, but heating and cooling is really a key topic, and it's really happening everywhere on the planet. So that's a big challenge. Unfortunately, I would say 2/3, if not even more, of this energy is still fossil-based, which is contributing massively to CO2 emissions. So the potential and the impact is quite vast. Of course, our solution is a piece of the puzzle. It's not the magic solution that is going to solve everything, right? But we really need more solutions, basically, and we really need to scale them quite rapidly so we can have as most impact as possible. Because there are very few solutions now that are able to tackle this challenge.
Absolutely, and quite immediately by the sounds of it, having immediate impact. And I mentioned in the intro there that what's unique about Enerdrape's solution is it provides heating and cooling, and it can be it requires no invasive drilling or construction. So from a retrofit perspective, as you said, it's got really interesting potential. But explain to us a bit more about why and how that's unique as an offering compared to what else exists in terms of geothermal energy.
Yeah, sure. So basically, that's in the context of geothermal, at least, we always need to bore, to drill into the ground, to be in contact with the ground to access this potential that is really tremendous. But one of the historic limitation of geothermal is that you need to drill. So that means a lot of cost, a lot of technical complexity that you don't necessarily have depending on where you are, and need to access basically. And that's a big challenge, as you mentioned, for retrofit or very urban, dense built environment, because either you just cannot drill anymore. So you really have this untapped resources literally beneath your feet, but you cannot access it anymore. Or legally, or for some other reasons, it's very hard to actually get the permit to do it. So that's really one of the main barrier of adoption of, in general, of geothermal, shallow geothermal. So that's why Enerdrape is very unique, because we really developed a way to do and to access this type of energy without drilling, without boring. So it's a prefabricated panel that you attach to walls that are in direct contact with the ground. So basically, yeah, as you mentioned during the intro, parking garages, metro tunnels. As a matter of fact, they have been bored and drilled somehow, but that was like decades ago. So we just use the fact that they are already in contact with the ground to tap into this potential. And this is really what makes us very unique on the market of geothermal, because all the products that you have as of today in the geothermal sector, they need to be in direct contact, and they have this invasiveness that we don't have.
Yeah. And how are these spaces being heated and cooled currently? Is it by fossil fuel or
Yeah, so the underground space per se, in general, is not heating, it's not conditioned, it's not heated and cool. It's really the building that are upstairs.
Right.
So basically, we're gonna tile, I would say, our panels on these walls. They're gonna extract the heat, and then it's connected to a heat pump system. And this heat pump system is then leveraging and delivering the heat or the cool to the buildings, which make it very modular and plug and play with existing and alternative technologies, because we can plug and play it with any kind of heat pumps that are using other types of sources. We can plug and play it with gas, with district heating. I mean, with a lot of systems that are generating either heating or cooling.
Amazing. So if you have a big office building and it's got a big underground car park, you can put Enerdrape panels on the walls of that car park and then use the energy that it's creating from there to contribute to the energy use of the building above.
Exactly. That's really the best, one of the best case scenario for us. And our vision in the long term is then to tackle larger infrastructures. So yeah, I would say in London, the tube, lots of kilometers of tunnels that are actually underground that go through the city, and the objective will be to tie our system on such channels and then popping out some energy for within the city. So that's really the vision on the long term. But as of today, we are focusing most of our efforts on underground car park linked to a building, and yeah, to basically untap and use, really just valorize and use what's just beneath our feet.
What's already there. Exactly. Fascinating. And so you mentioned there that it was yourself and a couple of other co-founders that saw the commercial potential of this really unique solution that you were developing in the lab. And you decided between the three of you that, let's spin this out, let's turn this into a business. Talk us through the early days of how you made that a reality. How did you take this idea and commercialize it? What support did you get from the university? And what did those messy early days look like?
Yeah. Yes, it's a long run. It's a long time to actually turn a technology into a product. So first there is all the product development part, lots of prototyping. You have to scale it a bit further as well. So that was a big part. But at this time, we were very well supported by the university. We are a spin-off from a university. We have access to non-dilutive funds that are like, I would say, applied research kind of a fund. So we were really supported. We were still hosted in a university at this time. Then there was the challenge of industrialization, because at some point, you did some prototypes, you scaled, you did your first proof of concept in a relevant environment. You installed 10 panels. It's working. It's great. But the 10 panels, we did them ourselves. So that's not an industrialized way to do it. And then you have to sign your first contract, and you have to get 200 panels that are really the same, industrialized. And that was quite of a challenge to find actually a way to industrialize that. But yeah, we made it. It took time. We made it and tried to get the support of a lot of people around specializing in industrialization to have their feedback. At this time, we changed a little bit how the panel was done because we thought of a way to do it, but then we realized that it was not a good way to scale actually and to industrialize. So we had to make some modification. Then you have to find as well the manufacturers and the people that are able to do that, which was quite a challenge because I realized that there is not, a phone book with a list of people you just call, and that's not working like that. So we were not from that sector. I mean, our original expertise is geothermal energy, soil mechanics. It's not product development and industrialization of heat exchanger. So we really had to learn from scratch everything and iterate a lot. And but yeah, we made it, but took time. Lots of hours, lots of challenges, but finally, planets aligned. We found the good people, the good partners, and finally we made it to a commercial product. But I would say it took us like 3 to 4 years still. So it's
and you
not
have a manufacturing partner that you outsource the manufacture to, rather than building your own sort of manufacturing plant, as it were.
Yeah, exactly. That was quite of a strategic decision at some point. But yeah, that's actually, I don't know if it's the best one. I guess it depends on a lot of ventures. But that's what we decided that we had to. We also have a size of the, let's say, it's not like we can do a lot of things in the lab for a long time with this type of technology. You need to really have big scale, and actually even to do like the first pilot, we need to pre-industrialize. We just cannot do 500 pieces of 1 square meter by ourselves. It's just not feasible. So we really had to get to these steps, and we realized that if we wanted to build our own manufacturer from scratch, we will have to wait like an extra 5 years to find the funds and everything to actually just do a pilot. So that's why we decided to use some existing methodologies. We adapt a lot of things though, but to find some partners to help us to scale with existing not technologies, but methodologies of production to be able to have a product on the market, to test it, and to enter the market, because industrialization was a big challenge, but getting to the market and convince people that are not always super keen on innovation in the sector it takes a lot of time as well. So you need to have a robust product to present to them, to reassure them and to enter the market.
And you mentioned your first pilot a couple of times there. It was a car park in Lausanne, right? That was your first pilot?
This one was actually our first commercial project. We had a pilot before, a smaller one, like 10 panels. It was more like a proof of concept, but like a big proof of concept, but kind of project. And we had the opportunity to get the support and the interest of a real estate player here in Switzerland to basically give us the keys of the underground car park to actually put in place our system. And that was quite key for us, because we really can prove the numbers, show the key metrics. And thanks to that, we have been able to sign our first client, who was actually COP. And then we install. So it was our very first big installation. We installed like 200 panels. So that was, this was a key moment as well, a key milestone for us.
Amazing. And as 3 academic co-founders who don't necessarily have, a strong background in selling and in commercial and in business, I can imagine that commercialization stage and that going out and winning those first contracts and winning that first pilot is challenging. And I'm sure there are lots of founders listening to this who are maybe in the early days of spinning out from academia, don't necessarily have that skill set in-house. What learnings have you got from that time? What tips, advice have you got for other founders that aren't commercial but need to start going out and selling and winning those pilots? What did you do?
Yeah, sure. So I had the chance that my co-founders, even though they are academic, they had, I would say it was not our first startups and spin-off. So they do have some serial entrepreneur vision, even though they are very scientific and academic. But for instance, me, I'm an engineer by training. I was not trained to sell. I had to learn a lot, to learn a lot on myself, how you sell. I would say at the beginning it was a bit hard because I was a bit naive. I went to customers and I had a very nice product, impactful innovation. I thought we were ticking all the boxes, and I realized that that was not exactly what my clients or potential customers were seeing. That we really had to reassure them, to show the numbers, to be a bit less technical sometimes, to be more technical at some other moments. So it was it's a long it's a process. You have to to trust the process, but that's a process. I think when you're an engineer and a co-founder, what's really hard to do at some point is to listen to the customers, because you're so excited and so enthusiastic about your technology. You want to present it. You know all the answers to all the questions, but then you just talk, and you don't really understand what's really the problem of your client. And at the end of the hour of presentation, you realize they never spoke. And this was something that I wish I would learn. I would have learned more quickly. That selling is about asking the good questions, but it's really about listening to the answers and adapting your case to them. So of course you're not gonna adapt the product and the characteristic, but the way you present it is the way you sell. And I think that's something that could be quite challenging when you're more in the engineering modes, technical mode sometimes.
And how has the way in which you've honed your pitch, your narrative, how you sell the product changed as you've listened more and learnt more about what your customers' motivations are? I think, there's this shift in the market away from climate for climate's sake, I suppose. Sustainability isn't at the top of corporate agendas as much as we would like it to be. And how has that shift in the landscape also changed how you position this?
Yeah. It changed. It changed a lot, specifically this last years. Although it was, what I realized also at some point is that climate is good, even if it was at the top, in the top 3 of corporates. That was never the only factor. I mean, at some point, it's good, it's climate, it's great, but it's about numbers, it's about costs, it's about prices. The economics is a big part. So either you really find some pain they have, and that is beyond, but at the end, you can always translate any kind of pain into economical pain at some point, at least in our sector. And this is really the way we had to shift a little bit the sales pitch. It does not translate the same way depending on which kind of customers, because we have different type of profile of customers, of course. And this we're a bit adapting always. But that's something that is quite a pain for my team now, my sales team in particular. I'm changing the pitch constantly. I really adapt to the people, and I have a knowledge about the technology. So sometimes they do have a pain that it's not necessarily what we do. It's not our, let's say, basic use case, but I know that we can also help on that, or we can also support this or answer that. And so I'm changing a little bit the pitch, and then my sales team is like, but what? That's not part of the original pitch. I'm like, and this but sometimes I think it's a bit hard for the sales team to follow. But I would say it's also sometimes the force of having the founder that is pitching, because you have more, you see, all the perspective of your product. It's I would say it's always changing. Of course, the market dynamics are a bit different, and we had to adapt. But in any case, it's always changing depending on the customers, because even though you have your customer profile, more or less the pain, depending on how internally it's working, how, what's their internal objectives, you have to adapt the pitch in any case.
Yeah. And it seems like, from what I see in the current landscape about what concerns are, and, it seems that your technology is well set up to address both that issue of energy sovereignty, because, it's literally on the land in which you're building, there's no more, it couldn't be closer to home. And secondly, those issues around kind of intermittency and unreliability of a lot of renewable energy sources. I would imagine, and I'm not obviously a geothermal energy specialist, but I'd imagine it's not an intermittent energy source. It's pretty constant, right? So I suppose on both those factors, they're two big concerns you hear from people at the moment around energy. And yeah, it seems that you've got a great solution that's keeping, that allows you to bend your pitch to what's, those two key drivers at the moment.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's actually two of our key USP, and that's with the geopolitical momentum right now is good for us, not really good for the planet, I would say, but yeah, that was. And actually, I remember we started the commercialization like 2023, really, but we kind of started 2022, and that was like the beginning of the war in Ukraine, and that changed a lot, because all of a sudden people realized heating was a thing. Because okay, no more gas, no more heating. All of a sudden heating became a topic, which was not the topic before. And the sovereignty of the energy became a key topic as well. It was already a key topic for some specific industry and specific clients, but not, I would say, mainstream clients. And now it's definitely a thing. Projection of the cost. I mean, the costs are also evolving a lot on the market. We have ×5, ×3. It's changing every 3 months. So having a reliability of the prices, because you have a constant energy, so you can really forecast that in a very good manner, and is really something that we address and that the clients are looking for.
Yeah, absolutely. And you mentioned the geopolitical climate there, and that leads me nicely into my next question. You've entered the US market with projects in Chicago and New York. At what point did you make the decision to look at that as a market and to internationalize your offering? Why the US? And how has that process of entering a new geography been for you?
Yeah. So on our internationalization strategy, I would say we are very opportunistic. We know our market is not only in Switzerland. We know we have an international market. We did a lot of study. This market first, this market second, because the local government is more inclined, have more subsidies for our system, this and that. But then it's also about opportunities. And as a matter of fact, one of my co-founder is based in Chicago, so for sure that helped. And that's one, I would say, top reason we looked at US, because it was there and got contact there and so on. And then it was about opportunity. We got an opportunity. Someone was looking for a solution, contacted us. We said, okay, we'll just try, and we just go and actually open some markets like that. Entering a new market is always a challenge. A lot of resources still to implement. So even if we look at the opportunity, we still check how much time, how much resources. Sometimes we have to say no if it's too of a niche market, if it's not really a priority, or we don't see a very big opportunity to scale. Sometimes we have to say no because it's still a lot of work, because it's not the same regulation, it's not the same codes, it's not the same way to sell. You don't have the vocabulary, and this is, I would say, this is a bit funny, because, for example, when we went to US, we knew the codes were different. Just like the vocabulary is different, the way they built is different, the USP is different, because it's really different. But for example, we opened the French market this year. It's French market. We are based in Switzerland. It's very close. Still completely different. Not same vocabulary, not same legislation, not same way, not same problems, not same pain points. So you have to do this work every time. Of course, then it's more about adapting, because I would say, it's more about changing a little bit the sales pitch to adapt to the pain points and so on. But for some specific market, we even have to change some product to develop new product characteristic as well.
Yeah.
So it's a challenge, but we really do it by opportunity mostly, and try to find good partners that knows the problems, knows the people in site. And I would say we are not trying to do everything by ourselves. That's not our strategy. What we want is to be fast, to scale, and I'm really convinced that you can only be fast and scale if you rely on partners. Doing everything from yourself is possible, but it's going to take a longer time, and your impact is going to be lower at the end, because it's better to start now. So that's a bit the philosophy we have.
And I'd imagine in that internationalization, you have that additional challenge as a physical, hardware business, that you're having to either find another manufacturer in the US that can manufacture for you, or you have this shipping and logistics piece of how you get all these panels to that location. So I imagine that probably brings in a whole new layer of complexity that a SaaS business just doesn't have when they're looking at the new market.
Yeah, it's true that we have a lot of challenges that SaaS business won't have. But yeah, that's part of the game. We know it. Sometimes it's a bit surprising because there's new things that are popping out. But yeah, what we do as well is that in general, we pilot, we kind of repeat a little bit the way we did it in Switzerland, and we realize it's always like that. That's a pity somehow, but at least that's the way it works. You will. If you build something in the US, they would say you cannot sell 10,000 units in Europe. They would say, yeah, but you never sell it here. So we want to do a test here. But actually, we have the same thing in France, the same thing in UK, the same thing in Germany. Even within Switzerland, they say, oh yeah, but you do it in the French-speaking part of Switzerland. You didn't do it in the German-speaking part of Switzerland. So they will always have this kind of dynamic. So you really have, of course, you're not going to pilot in every cities neither, but you have to restart, like baby step, do a pilot, showcase. Okay, look, we did it in the country, we did it with your codes, it's working, and from that you can really build and scale much faster than what we did originally. But we have to do this piloting phase. So that helps us as well in terms of time, because when we do piloting, we're not looking for a new manufacturer right away. We just use, so yeah, there is a bit of logistics to do, but at least it gives a little bit of time to understand how we're going to arrange the supply chain and so on afterwards.
That's so true. That's so true. And as with all these things, it probably requires a decent amount of funding, right, to scale a solution like this. You've secured significant funding. You mentioned, a bit earlier on in our conversation about the fact that at first you were able to access some non-dilutive funding through the network, through local contacts, through the university. At what point did you need to go out and raise institutional funding for the first time? And how has that process been for you?
Yeah, so we started we got our first seed round in 2023. So yeah, it was in December, so it's gonna be like 2 years. We knew, I would say we knew from scratch that we were not the type of venture that can bootstrap. That's just not possible. We knew it. So we were kind of prepared as soon as we have the spin-off hat. And unfortunately for other types of startups, we have a lot of opportunities in terms of non-dilutive funding. We really try to maximize a lot the non-dilutive funding at the beginning to really de-risk a lot of things, to deploy as much things as we could in terms of the technology, to be prepared to actually raise some institutional fund. Raising in 2023 was not the best moment to raise. That was a hard year, even harder when it's the first time you raise, because I would say it's harder. I guess it's really hard at the beginning, the first round, because you don't really know the dynamics. You have to build your network. You have to build the relationships with the investors. So yeah, that was quite intense, but yeah, we made it. I learned a lot on the path. I learned things that I won't do again, things that I will do now. But yeah, there was a learning. It was still it was a harsh year. It took time. It took really more time than expected. But yeah, we made it, and now we are gently preparing for Series A. So yeah, we're gonna start very soon to raise again. And again, equity, debt, non-dilutive. We try to mix several types of funding, and yeah, you really plan the strategy of funding ahead. Continue to build the relationship as well with investors.
You said there you learnt things you wouldn't do next time,
Mm-hmm.
and things you definitely would do again. Are you able to share some examples of each of those with us?
Yeah, about, for example, building the relationship. Because, I mean, specifically, sometimes when you look at VC, you're talking with VCs, say, yeah, we have an 8 weeks process, and being bam, no. I mean, they have to know you. They have to see how you execute, how you moved. Of course, I guess there are some people that they're super fast, take very quick decision and so on. For sure, I guess that does exist. But most of it, it's at the end, it's quite a human relationship you have to build. Of course, you have the venture, the numbers, and everything, but it's specifically in the seed phase, it's very regarding the human, who is building the venture. It's really about you, and this is something that I learned, and I realized a bit too late, that it was not only about the venture. It was not only about the product, showing that the product is working, but at some point the product, it was not anecdotic, but that was the first thing. But then it was really about who you are. Do you have the capacity to execute? What's the team? Are you gonna make it or not? And then I realized that this was what I had to convince them, more than my product is working and look at the numbers and so on, which is a bit different now. I would say when you're further Series A, the journey, now it's more about the commercial traction, the numbers, the path, and so on. The team is still super important. But yeah, the numbers, the KPIs, the commercial traction is really key. Well, yeah, this seed, it was more about who you are you gonna make it? So you have to pitch at some point.
You are a female founder, you are a fairly young female founder, and a first-time female founder, right?
Yeah.
And so, while none of those things should matter, sadly, in the world of VC, those can be 3 things that can count against you, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sadly. Did you feel you faced challenges around that based on any of those factors? Did you sense any bias throughout that fundraising process? Do you think you were asked different questions to the ones your co-founders were asked? I mean, or actually, as I'd love to hear you say, hopefully, actually, no, it made no difference.
No. But honestly, it's hard to say, because it's hard to compare. But and the thing is that I'm the only female in the co-founder, so of course they were asking other types of questions, but they have also over other roles. I'm the CEO, so in general it's the person you tend to focus on. So of course we didn't have exactly the same questions, but we definitely didn't have the same role and the same involvement in the company neither. So is it because of my role? Is it because I'm a woman? That's really hard to say. I did not. It was. I think yes, there is a bias and there is some questions you have to be prepared to, for sure. And the numbers show it. I mean, the stats show it. That definitely this seems to have a bias. But yeah, I think it's not something you can't overcome, and you just have to be prepared for it. And now, I mean, there is some VCs that try to balance it the other way. They're really more focused on female as well. The thing that sometimes I'm a bit is that sometimes the structures that are, let's say, try to support more female founding, they tend to focus on also female tech. So which is great. I would say that's great. I'm not saying it's not great, but yeah, female founder is not necessarily building a femtech. It could be building clean tech, building industrial tech. It could be a lot of things. So yeah, I would say I'm an engineer as well. So I'm an engineer, civil engineer, so a very masculine world. So I'm used I was used to it, to be a bit different from from my peers. I was used to take this as an advantage as well compared to maybe others. So that was not something that was a shock or for me, or that I feel like very, very hard to overcome. But because maybe I was already kind of used to it. But yeah, I guess there is. It's hard to say. It's hard to say. I will tell you when I will found my other company with a male co-CEO, and then I will tell you if there is a difference or not.
Exactly. Exactly. And tell us about the growth of the team from inception to now. How many people are you today? How have you built that team up over time? And share with us that journey.
Yeah. So on our case, it's not we are around 10 people, really internally. So we're still a very small team, smaller than it seems like. A lot of people are like, but you're only 10. But it's also because we subcontract manufacturing. We have a lot of partners. We built like a network of certified partners with the trainings and so on, because in our sector is really key. As I was mentioning, doing everything by yourself is at least this is not my vision and the way I think you are able to scale. So internally we are not so much. Now it's going to change a little bit. I would say we will most probably double the team by next year. So now we're going to be more in this really growth of the team, let's say, dynamic. But yeah, otherwise the team built really little by little. At the beginning, very technical, really built the technical team. Then more the marketing, sales team. Took a bit of time to find the right people to build the foundation. We don't have a lot of turnover. We prefer to have like a core team. That's more the way I manage, and I see the thing. Something that though is very surprising. I have a lot of friends that are also co-founder of tech companies, male in particular, and they always ask me, but how are you getting girls or female? Because we have, as of today, we have more female on the team than actually male, even on the technical side. And I don't know why we have a lot of female coming. So I guess it's also about the leadership. They see me, so it attracts as well. But I really have often this discussion with my friend, and they're like, well, how are you doing it? And I'm like, I don't do anything. They just come. So this is also something that is quite nice. We really have good profiles that come, that are interested, that want to have an impact. So that's also a good way to build the team.
And Lausanne seems to me, I had the opportunity to go to Lausanne earlier in the year when I went to the Climate Hack Summit.
Yeah.
And it seems that region, there's a particular amount of talent density, I suppose, in that region, specifically for hardware, for deep tech, for engineering. Has that been, have you been able to tap into that? Has that been helpful in how you've scaled the team so far?
Yeah, sure. We have the EPFL. That's the university I'm coming from. You really have a talent base there. There's a lot of talent in industrial design, in marketing as well. We really have a pool of universities, pool of competencies in that region. So for sure, we have a hub of talent, and you don't just pick into it, but that's the codes. I was a student there as well, so I have my own network, and that helps a lot. I think that's indeed a region where you have a lot of qualified people, qualified engineer, for sure, I guess it's easier in our sector, at least. I'm not sure it's the case in all the sectors, but yeah, definitely a clear advantage for us.
And as you've grown the team to the 10 people that you are today, what have been your biggest learnings? What have you gotten wrong or found a challenge? And how have you had to evolve as a leader as you've kind of built that team and been on that journey?
Yeah, it was also quite of a journey and quite of a challenge. First, understanding that not everyone is like you, and I guess one of the biggest learning was, I'm a team player. I was used to work in teams. I mean, during the university, you do team projects and so on. But I realized being a team player is not being a leader or a manager. And this was not a distinction I don't really understood before. And this was I learned it the hard way. We had a moment during the journey of Enerdrape where it was hard. It was hard for my team to understand what I wanted, to deliver what I wanted. It was hard for me to explain them in a very clear manner what I wanted. I had a lot of trouble to give feedback as well. And actually, I took some courses on leadership, and it helped me a lot. I realized what you have to do, what you should not do. And that helped me a lot on that part. I think really regarding the execution, because I think being inspire and sharing the vision, inspire the team, that's something that fortunately for me seems to be quite normal, or I don't really understand how I do it, but apparently it's working, so that's really nice. That's very natural, at least. But then really managing humans and humans problems, execution, that's another story, another role that you don't learn. I mean, you don't learn it at school, or maybe if you did some management school, but I didn't learn that. And this I learned it the hard way. But yeah, then you find your routine and the way to do it, also with the individuals you're working with.
You're right. I mean, it's that piece around, how you manage people effectively, how you set clear expectations, how you follow up on those expectations. That, you're right, it's not something you learn. So having coaching and mentoring on that is great. And for all the theory in the world, it's a bit like learning to drive, isn't it? For all the theory in the world, you need a certain amount of real world practice of dealing with different scenarios and situations and circumstances that you then, build your muscle in learning how to manage over time. But yeah. Thank you for being honest about that, because I would imagine there are lots of first-time founders that will find that part of management tough.
Honestly, it's very tough, and I think for me it's one of the toughest thing I'm doing on a day-to-day basis. And it's also that was not something I was expecting as well. Being a founder, I'm on a techie side. I love to pitch, to go to clients, to sales as well. But at the end of the day, 50% of my time is managing the other people that need to execute. And this is something that is tough sometimes, because you have to inspire even when you're not in the moment where you sometimes you have also bad moments. Sometimes you question yourself, and that's also where having co-founders is really helpful, because you can also rely on support to have their support. But the journey of an entrepreneur is as really ups and downs. And when you are in a down and you still have to inspire, you still have to keep the vision and to keep the boat. Sometimes you really have to struggle with yourself to do this, and that's not. But that's part of the job, and you learn it, and I guess everyone has his own way to do it. So far it worked, but yeah, I won't say that's, I mean, at least on my case, it was not the most natural and easygoing thing that I did. I'm still learning lots of things, and you're constantly learning because you have more people with other profiles.
Yeah.
So you always have to adapt, which at the end of the day is very close to building a venture in general. You always have to adapt the product to the needs of the client and so on. So at the end, it's more or less close, but it's just you have humans and not just like product features and very hardware stuff in front of you. So you have to manage also emotions and feelings and so on.
Absolutely. What are you excited about looking ahead? I mean, this next kind of 6 to 12 months, you already mentioned there, you want the team to double in size, which is super exciting. Will lead to lots more people challenges, I'm sure, but exciting nonetheless. What else are you excited about for Enerdrape over the next year?
Yeah, I would say it's really deploying. We have very key strategic partnerships that we're building currently that we're gonna be able to say and to release soon. We have a great pipeline, lots of potential projects that we just are eager to execute. So yeah, I would say the execution of all this pipeline, all this partnership is really what I'm looking really with a lot of excitement. Because yeah, we are in this. I guess we are really at this, you have always the curve of the startups, and we are really at the start of this hockey stick, and I really want to get on the ramp and see what's the next steps, and it's stressing, but but that's very exciting. There is a lot of good things that might happen, that can happen, and this is very lots of inspiration, and to finally also see you. I mean, we've been building that for, I mean, not 100%, but still we have this idea, we have this venture in mind, and since more 6 years. So yeah, it's good to
see it scale. Will be really exciting.
Exactly. To see the things,
And what advice do you have for other founders listening to this of resources, I'm thinking particularly, that have been instrumental to you in your founder journey? So that could be communities, mentors, books, podcasts, anything that you've lent on that you have found super helpful. What would you recommend?
But I would say there is one or two books. I guess, I mean, that's very the most basic books here. But there is The Hard Thing About Hard Things of Ben Horowitz. That's a great book. I don't relate with everything, but it's a great book to, I don't know, to have a sense of what different kind you have, different kind of entrepreneurships, you have different kind of ventures, and this was a great book for me. Then me, I'm not too much into books. Otherwise, it's more about this networking with other founders. I think honestly that's the because when you're a founder, even if you have, I would say specifically when you're the CEO, you're kind of alone, even if you have co-founders and so on. And because sometimes you are the last one who can decide, and this can be, you have the last word, and sometimes it's great, sometimes when you're hesitating, it's not that great. And it's talking with other CEOs, talking with other founders at different stages. I think this is actually what helped me the most, understanding that these guys or these girls that really had a lot of success actually has gone through the same steps as you're going through, that not everything is pick and perfect, because sometimes I think that's something that is maybe more in Europe than actually in the US, but we tend to always relate the successes. We tend to always relate what's great, what works, but there is a lot of things that don't work and are not great. And when you go through that, you can feel very alone, and you're like, oh, but maybe it's maybe you question yourself, question the vendor, question the product, but that's normal. That's normal. That's part of the process. It's actually where I would say that's actually where you iterate, and sometimes you actually pivot or see something that it was even better, and that's actually how you build something even stronger. But the first time it happens to you, and when you see that everything is great and peak for everyone, you tend to question a lot of yourself. So having like-minded people, peers that gone through the process or are going through the process, I think that's one of the best resources you can have. And this is really about networking, be part of, I don't know, startup association, founders networks, going to specific events. That really that was really one of the, I would say, the top one resource I can provide.
Amazing. You're right, because like you said, even though there are silver linings to all those hardships, when you're in them and when you're going through them, you can't see that yet, can you? And you just need people around you that get it, to hold your hand through it and go, it's going to be okay.
Yeah, exactly. And to help you, take a step ahead and say, okay. And have people that, go through, really experience it, because sometimes, you read books, specifically with books, sometimes you read books and there is a lot of entrepreneurship books that are, just written by very, very successful and good professors, but not really entrepreneurs. And you're like, okay, that's the theory. Again, that's the theory, but execution of the theory is something different. So I think that's something that you might find more with, real conversation with real entrepreneurs.
Lovely. Yeah, that's great. Margaux, thank you so much for spending your time with us today, for sharing that journey, for sharing your learnings. I'm sure it'll be incredibly valuable to lots of people listening. So I really appreciate it. And thank you to everybody listening, everybody who's joined us live, and everybody who's listening to this on catch up. As I said, this is the last episode of this series. So if you've missed any of our previous episodes, please do go and check them out. You can find them on my LinkedIn profile. You can find them on our YouTube channel, and you can find them on Spotify, Acast, or Apple Podcasts. But for now, thank you again to Margaux. Thanks to everyone listening, and I'll see you soon for Series 11.